Hi everyone, just thought I'd do a quick video. Well, I'll try and keep it as quick as possible, but it's how to set up Bodnjenie14's The Simpsons tapped out private server. So currently it's based on C++. There are other versions being worked on, and this video tutorial is on Windows versus Linux. I think Linux is still being worked on. There are other methods that people are working on, but this is the easiest one I found in Windows. And so what you want to first do is you want to navigate to the GitHub, which is in the description of the video, which is this URL here. Then the first step is, it's a TSTU server and the APK patching guide. So this guide provides instructions to set up the TSTO server, patch the Simpsons tapped out APK, so the original one, and configure the system to use a server and DLC files. So what you'll need for the APK patching requirements, if you need that, is Python 3. So only for patching the APK. A C++ version is on its way, and a patched APK created using the provided GUI patcher, Windows GUI patcher on .py script, and 30 GB of free disk space for the DLCs. And the DLC files are the files for the game files, and that's all you need in terms of the files. Private server requirements, Windows operating system. So the first step is you download Python. So you can download Python by python.org/downloads, and there's an option to download Python 3.13.1, and you install that. What I also recommend is to download 7-zip to deal with long file paths when you extract from the DLC files. And also you'll need Java JDK 23, which is the latest version. So jdk.java.net/23/ and there's a Windows version, or you can download it by Googling it. And there's a Windows update file, which I can also provide. I don't have the link at hand, but I'll have a look. So those are the requirements you need. And so what I've done is I've downloaded this file, which if I go back to this GitHub page, there's a release option, the latest. And currently it supports a single town. It supports saving and loading of a system. So this saves your town files, and it allows you to use your existing saved backup town files, or it creates a new one when you start the game and you don't have a town saved in the folder. And coming soon is multi-support and source code release, so stay tuned for the update. So what you want to do is at the bottom, ignore these two source codes for now. You want to download the TSTO server bodnjenie.zip, which is what I've done here. I have created a Simpsons tapped out folder, so it's all in one location, and everything that I do is worked within this folder in case I need to revisit it, change files, etc. So it's all saved here. So what you want to do is you want to take the zip and extract it. You can use WinRAR, 7-zip, WinZip. I've used 7-zip or WinRAR, which I've extracted here. And what you will see is, when you do that, an APK patcher folder, the DLC folder, the instructions, the towns, a bunch of DLLs you can ignore, and the TSTO server exe file. So what you want to do is click on the instructions and open the instructions file, which is in the background here, and you'll have the DLC download and DLC download instructions. I won't click them because they have links to the actual DLC files, which are about 30 gigs, and they are the game files, the game asset files. I have removed them from my link, but when you go and download them yourselves, you'll see the link. The website hosts a single container file, a RAR file, which you can extract using 7-zip is what I'd recommend, which is why I told you 7-zip rather than WinRAR, because it handles long file paths. So if you can see that mine's quite short, but sometimes you might have a long directory, and so if you try and extract out the DLC files, you get errors or it just ignores it, and then what you'll find is the DLC count for the actual files aren't correct. So use 7-zip and it handles long file paths. This is a Windows issue, so yeah, it's something you can't avoid. So I've already downloaded the files, and I've basically copied them into the DLC folder. And what you'll do is you'll see a whole bunch of files, 409 items. When you click on them, there are zips, so you leave those as is, so you don't extract those zips out. And then if you scroll right to the bottom, there's also another DLC folder within the DLC main folder, which contains indexes. So DLC indexes, and there's 126 of those. If I back out, there's 409 items, and if I do a quick properties on that, you will see that it's about 15,365 with 409 folders, and it's 29.1 gigs on my PC. So if you don't see that, then you've used the program incorrectly, or if you run out of space. If you do struggle to download the file and your browser pauses the download, or it cancels it, or you time out on your network, I'd recommend downloading JDownloader. So JDownloader 2, and that allows you to basically resume downloads that have basically been paused by your browser. So once you've got that, you've got the DLC files downloaded. So if you go to the instructions, the first step is download and add the DLCs. Download the DLCs, place them into the DLC folder. So you place them exactly like that, just in the DLC folder. You don't need another DLC folder and then a DLC folder afterwards. Just this is fine, DLC, and then the subfolder with the DLC. And what you then want to do is patch the APK. So download the TSTO app or the APK file from the repository, APK patcher folder. So what I've done for the purposes of the video tutorial is to back out on this, and then I've downloaded this code, download zip, and here the file is there. Or you can right click and save as link and it will download it. And I've basically downloaded the zip file and I've extracted out again. And what I've done is I've copied this tsto_original.apk file. If you don't see the .apk file, you have to go to View in Windows and then hide and then tick the file name extensions, because you can see it's hidden here and you only see the file type. You would need to do file name extension selected for later on when you work with a town file. And what you essentially have is you have the TSTO, so you copy that into the APK patcher folder. So I've done that here and I've renamed it. So it says to here to download, and I'd recommend renaming it. So what you then want to do is you want to launch this Windows GUI patcher to patch the APK. It's a Python file, which is why you needed Python installed. So in the instructions it says hold terminal in the folder, so it's hold shift and right click and then open PowerShell window here, or open terminal. I just use Windows command prompt, but the way you would do that is just type CMD, command prompt CMD, and then what you then type is you get to the so you type CMD. What you then do is you get into this directory. So what you do is, currently I'm in the F directory, so I go and CD into that directory. So if I bring that over, I CD, so I if I want to get into a drive, like an external hard drive, I type the drive letter and then that, and it'll bring me into that directory. And then what I want to do is CD into that path. So I want to copy that path because that's where I want to run this file. So I paste it and I press enter. So that shows that you're in there. So if you press dir as a command, you'll see that the files are listed here. So the next step will essentially be to run the following command. So Python Windows GUI patcher. So I'm going to run that and paste and enter. What it will then do, it will open an APK patcher. So within that, you would point it to the APK file that you've downloaded. So my computer's a bit slow. So you would select the APK file, and then in the new game server URL and the new DLC server URL. So essentially what this is I'm hosting the game server locally, and I'm hosting the DLC locally because I've got it saved on my computer. So in the step here, it says enter the required IP address in the patcher. So the server's IP is your IP address followed by HTTPS and your IP address with a port number 80, and same with the DLC IP. So the way you would do that is within the command prompt. If you open up another command prompt, what you type is essentially ipconfig. So ipconfig. So ipconfig. Or you can go to your system settings. I won't put that in there, but for the purpose of the video, I'm going to pause it and enter my IP address. But I'll do it as an example here. http dot dot, and then I'll put my IP address, but I'll cover the video in a minute. So if I do, what's my IP address? Let me get that up. Bear with. So your IP address will be the IP4 address, IPv4. When you do command prompt, you either select if you're on wireless or Ethernet. I'm on the wireless, so there'll be an IPv4 address, and it starts with 192. So I'm going to quickly do that. And then followed by the port number. And then you want to copy and paste and do the exact same thing here and click check dependencies. So mine says all dependencies are installed, but when you do it, it's likely that you'll have to download and install OpenJDK23. So you can do that via this link here. And when you do that, you'll have to restart your PC, and then you can click check dependencies and say all dependencies are installed. What you then want to do is click patch APK. So if I click patch APK, you let it run. It looks like it's frozen, but it's not. You just have to give it some time. And what you'll notice is it creates files. It will say not responding, but if you just let it do its thing, it might take a couple of minutes, up to 5 minutes. I'd leave it probably for 7 minutes, but it will eventually pop up with a box saying patch successful, and it will output a tsto_patched APK, and that's your APK that you need to use and install. That's how simple it is. So I'm just going to let it run. Also, if you get an error message to say that there's a funky error message, what you need to do is you need to delete the tapped out and the venv folder, and then you need to then rerun the patch. So you patch APK, but you enter the whole thing in again. So I'm just going to let it run. I'm going to pause the video in a second if it takes too long, and then I'll come back to you when it says that it's successful. What it will also do is it should also open up another command prompt which allows you to monitor the progress, but I can't seem to find it on my PC. It's somewhere, but it will open up a command prompt and you can monitor its progress. But I'm just going to let it sit and wait for a while, and you'll get a pop-up box eventually. It can take some time. So I'll explain some of the processes now. Let me just hoping this hurries up. Let me pause the video for now. Just going to unpause the video. What I hadn't noticed is it had popped up. So what it's done is you can see it's working its way in the background, although it's not responding. So I'll just let it run. You can see it. You can see it's monitoring. You can monitor the progress of it. So I will just wait for it to run and complete. But that should pop up when you actually, in the same window that you run the command, which is Python Windows_GUI patcher .py. So I'm going to let it run. So you can see it's moving. It's moved along the stage. So it's completing it. This bit can take some time. So I will pause it again and come back to you when there's movement on that window. Just going to unpause it. You can see it's running the patch now. Just going to pause it and let's do its thing. You have to just be patient with it. It takes some time. You can see it's working through it. You can also see it's working here. So we've seen some movement here where it's gone to the next one. So building the APK, and you can see it's done. So you'll see a little progress bar. It's quite good actually. I love this program, and it says patched success, patched APK created, TSTO and dash patched APK. So press OK, and you can close out of this. So you'll see that it saved the patched APK, and the next step is to transfer the patched APK to your mobile device or Bluestacks. I use Nox because it's just easier, but you can use Bluestacks or Nox. You can just type in Bluestacks and download it, or Nox player, and that plays it. So you can transfer it to your phone. You can run the APK that you've just patched on your phone, so I've got Bluestacks and Nox, but I think Nox is easiest to show you. So what I will do is I will install. So I've got Nox open up here. I've already got my version installed, so what I'm going to do is uninstall that just so I can show you. So I've got Nox player, and what I want to do is I can drag this patched version into the application, and eventually it will install it. So you can see it's installing there, and when it's installed it will have the logo. So that means it's installed complete. So do not run this file. So if I minimize this for now, the next step is to set up the town file and add your town file to the towns folder. Rename. So if I've done a test example here. So if I go back here, I used the website that backed up the town. So I've replaced it with the email address. And what you will find is you will find your email address at, I don't know, Hotmail or Gmail or whatever it is, and you'll find the extra, the proto, the text, the currency, and friends. What you will need is this file here, which is the MDOS file. When you're in Windows, this is why I said it was quite important, is when you're in and have no file extensions, you can't rename this. So if you go here and type, so set up the town file, this is your town file, this is the file you need. And it has an MDOS, so MDOS Windows has recognized it as that file extension. So it says add your town's file to the town's folder. So rename the file to mytown.pb. So if I do, let's just say I have that unselected, I can't change the extension. I might not be able to. Let me just double check. PB. See, it still recognizes an MDOS application, which is why you need to select in the view and file name extensions. You can see it's still named as .com. The .com is the recognized file. So this is why I said it's very important to select the file name extension so that Windows allows you to change the file extension. So you remove .com and you just name it as mytown.pb, and it says if you want to change the file extension, the file will become unusable. You can ignore that, and you say, are you sure you want to change it? And you say yes. If you're downloading it through another website, there's another website with me at the end of it. You'll get a file in a similar format as this, but you'll get a friends folder as well, which is also your friends' towns, as well as your own one. There's also a currency file, but in my one I've just got my own town for now. So you've got that. So what you want to do is copy that, and I want to go into this and copy and paste that into the towns directory. So that's it. That's all you need. So it says rename file to mytown.pb, and then it says if the save is from tsto.de, the file name will be your email address. You rename it to that, which is what I've done. If the save is from tsto.me, the file name will be a protoland.pb, so you need to rename that to mytown.pb. And again, in point 4, this explains what I said, adjust Windows folder options if needed. So if you cannot see the file extensions, you adjust the windows by opening File Explorer, go to View, and then Options. And then you can also do, I've got it in this little show and hide, but you can do View, Options, change folder and search options if you don't see that bit. And then in the View tab, you can uncheck hide file extensions from known sources, which is hide extensions from known sources. So I have basically I can uncheck that from known file types and apply and press OK. But I find the easiest way is to go View, and then you can add show and hide, and then you can select that and it will just hide the file extension. So that's that. So now you want to basically install the DLC on the server. So number 5, so do not open any application. So that means do not open this tapped out. So what you want to do is within when you run the file, when you run the server, it will generate a config file where you can specify the IP address. So because I've got, it will probably recognize it as my Ethernet, but what it says is do not open any application until the DLC is installed on the server. So by that means, in this case, I've just downloaded the DLC. It's just a thousand times easier, and that's all you need. So the next step is to launch a server. So you run the tsto.exe, a console window will appear. So leave this window open. So if I click this, you'll see it's done my server IP, which is another IP that I have. But what you can see, it's now generated a server.config, and because my Wi-Fi IP address is something different, I'm going to close this down. Within the server config, what I can do is a JSON file, and I can edit in Notepad++. And in this, I just specify my IP address. So I'm going to basically change that. You can leave the port the same. So I'm just going to quickly change that off the screen, but you've probably already seen it. Let me just enter my IP address. Give me 2 secs, and then I will save that. So I've saved the config file. So I've edited the config file. I've changed the IP address in quotes and keeping the quotes. Now I then rerun the server. So I've now got the server, and you can see the IP address is now something different. So the next step is, so keep this open in the background. So the next step is to run the APK. So additional information, you can adjust the IP import in the server config needed. So the next step is to install the APK, the patched APK. So what you do is open Nox Player, and you can drag that into here, which will install. Then you can run that, but you need to have the server open. So if you back out of this, you then click on the server, and it will open a window here. You can see it set the DLC to the DLC folder. So if I click tapped out and launch this, you can now see that it's serving the file, and you just wait. So if you click just any date of birth here, and then type any date of birth, let's put that, and then confirm, and then allow. So you have to wait for this to complete. So this is what it means by do not open any application until DSE is installed on the server. And you can see it's serving the file now. So you just wait till the end, and that's basically it. It will load your towns file from that. So I'm just gonna pause it for now. If you get error message saying this doesn't exist, it's fine. It doesn't matter because those don't exist on their servers. But I mean, if you use the DLC files, it should be fine. So I just wait for that to complete. I'm gonna quickly pause the video. Just gonna let it do its thing. So what you can do, you can see it's serving all of the files that you've got stored locally. So in that DLC folder. So you have to wait. Do not click tap to play anonymously until this is complete. Just give it a bit of time. To work its magic. But it's really simple, guys, and you can, when you've got this, if you want to do the same thing on an Android device, then you install the APK and launch it, and it should just read it if you're on the same network. So nearly done. Just gonna wait for the last bits. So you can see it's downloaded now. And when you click tap to play anonymously, what you will see is it will grab your land, so your town file. You can see it's doing that now, and that's the town within the towns folder. So I wait for the spinny donut to complete, and hopefully, if you've done it correctly, you can see it set the currency from the land ID as well. So all your currency is brought over. Just gonna let it run. There you go. You can see that you've got the game. Pretty epic, right? There you go. Just a normal game, and everything works. As you can see, got all the inventory items that you have, stores. There is also a way you can change your system to 23rd, and it will give you all the taps. But you can see here that this is my my town, and it's working. So yeah, that's a quick tutorial on how to run it, and when you make changes, you'll see within the window that it's saving to the land. So that file that you see there in the towns, it will basically write to that as you're playing the game, and that's really it. Yeah, so I hope that was easy, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the video, and then on Discord as well, follow the guys on Discord. Again, I'll put that in the description, but there's a wealth of information on there, and absolute legends working on this, and honestly, they've pulled off a miracle. So yeah, that's it, and I'm offline, playing it offline. If any issues, yeah. But stay tuned for any updates as well, and follow the Discord and the GitHub as well. And